What's up, guys? 80s Revolution back here with another video. This is part 9, series 9 of the WWF Hasbro Wrestling Figures review. We're down to 2 more after tonight. Tonight we're doing the Purple Card series, which is actually a pretty decent looking card. I wasn't a huge fan of the different colors of the cards. I kind of liked the blue backing. It, of course, reminded me of the old LJNs, but when they started changing the colors of the card, like I said, I wasn't such a big fan. But when the Purple Card series came out, they were actually very nice looking cards. This, of course, Series 9, 1994. And we will go through the small batch of figures. We had 6 figures, with one being a complete repaint. Not even a repaint, just a repackage. Tatanka, which I'm not including in this because he was shown off a couple series ago. This is the first time that Hasbro actually just took the exact same figure. No changes to his paint scheme, no new accessories, no new nothing, and just put him on a different colored card and released him. I do believe that he was a late replacement, though, for somebody else. There's a couple of rumored figures that were supposed to come out with the Purple Card series. I think Brutus Beefcake in his, what was he, when he was teaming with Hogan, I forget what their team was called. I can't remember. Mega Maniacs, maybe. But there was a prototype of a different colored Brutus Beefcake figure, and maybe 1 or 2 other rumored figures that were supposed to come out that got scrapped, and then we ended up with another Tatanka. So, not including him, but we will take a look at Hasbro Series 9, the Purple Cards. But first, just wanted to give you some interesting updates. This channel has brought me in contact with so many interesting people. I absolutely love engaging with you guys. And I've said that a bunch of times before. I really like talking to you about, my hobby and your guys' hobby, watching some of your videos and just, getting to know you guys. People have been reaching out to me from all over. In addition to, the people that I talk with on here regularly. I mean, I've got people contacting me. I've got a former WWE employee reaching out to me and chatting back and forth about my hobby. And I've got something potentially brewing that I probably shouldn't mention now, but somebody contacted me. I probably shouldn't tell you anything about it, but somebody contacted me about the collection, and if this goes through, or if what they're talking about or planning actually happens, it'll be some pretty huge news for me, and obviously something that I'll be sharing with you guys, and I'll take you along with me, because, if there was no interest in this channel, I would have never received this contact. What does that mean? I don't know how this stuff works. I probably shouldn't say anything about it, but if it happens, I'll hopefully get permission to talk about it and let you know. If it doesn't happen and it's scrapped, I'll tell you what it was anyway. But some pretty interesting, emails that I've gotten in the past few days regarding this channel and my collection. So I will let you know what's going on with that. So let's get right into the Hasbro Series 9. I also want to show this off. I wore this in another video. I was at Walmart the other day, and I was looking for some sleeveless shirts. I don't like tank tops as much as the sleeveless shirts. And, I came across this. It's an Iron Mike Tyson Boxing Club sleeveless shirt. I love it, and it was like $6.99 at Walmart. And I know there's like a whole Mike Tyson clothing line out there, t-shirts and stuff, but this is the only one they had, and for $6.99, I got a pretty awesome Mike Tyson shirt. So check out your Walmarts if you are in the market for a Mike Tyson sleeveless shirt. All right, Hasbro Series 9. Like I mentioned, 1994. And I've said a bunch of times that that was the final year that I watched WWF regularly. So the first two figures that I want to talk about, and that's a clue as to who I am, the first two figures, tag team. So Rick Steiner got his first sort of national exposure in the AWA as a jobber or enhancement talent or whatever you want to call the guy who gets beat up by the stars on TV. And he wrestled under his real name, I believe, Rob Reck Steiner. So Rick Steiner's last name, Rick and Scott's last name, is Reck Steiner, R-E-C-H Steiner. So he wrestled as Rob Reck Steiner. And then he, kind of got his career jump-started and wound up in the, I believe it was the UWF, under Cowboy Bill Watts. So he got his career started there, mainstream career started there, breaking in guys like Sting and the Ultimate Warrior and, Hacksaw Duggan and, One Man Gang was there. UWF was a very talent-packed organization. Then he made his way very mainstream into the NWA and became part of Kevin Sullivan's Varsity Club, where Kevin Sullivan put together a stable of wrestlers that were all college athletes. So, he had Rick Steiner from Michigan, he had Mike Rotundo from Syracuse, he had Dr. Death Steve Williams from Oklahoma, and it was a pretty awesome stable. I really loved the Varsity Club. Rick Steiner bounced back and forth between good guy, bad guy. He was kind of this knucklehead character. I remember at one point he had a pet fly that he would talk to, and at another point he painted up his hand. You know how you put eyes here and lipstick, and you kind of like, I can't do it. You kind of like talk. That was like he had like a manager, but it was his hand. Anyway, so Rick Steiner was this goofy, lovable character. Then around 1991, 92-ish, around there, his brother Scott Steiner, who was, a babyface good guy in Florida and the Continental Wrestling Federation, the CWF, made his way into the NWA, and immediately the Steiner Brothers became one of the best tag teams of all time. Top 10 tag teams easily, I would say, maybe in the top 5. And I loved the Steiner Brothers as just a really exciting good guy tag team. You had Rick Steiner, the powerhouse. You had Scott Steiner, who was the more technical wrestler, if you can believe it or not, before this big Papa Pump persona. Multiple time tag team champions in multiple different organizations, including the WWF. And when they made the jump to the WWF in 94, it was absolutely shocking. I couldn't believe that the Steiner Brothers had come to McMahon land, if you will. So here are the Steiner Brothers WWF Hasbro figures. Two of my favorite figures. More so Rick Steiner than Scott. This is one of my top 10 favorite Hasbro figures. Love the figure itself of Rick Steiner. I think it's absolutely perfect, but I also love this play pose because of this arm here that you can kind of bend in. You've got the clothesline arm, you've got the punching hand, but I love this figure. The Scott Steiner figure is also a great body type. This is the Mr. Perfect body type. This is the Crush body type, Kona Crush, the Hawaiian Crush. But I love this figure. So two absolutely fantastic figures representing, to me, a team that I didn't expect to see in the WWF. They didn't last long. They did win the tag team titles. They were at WrestleMania, but of course they went back and continued their success where they started from in the NWA/WCW. Of course, Scott Steiner went on to become this, incredible persona, this Big Papa Pump character, which I really can't even believe is a character. I'm pretty sure that that's Scott Steiner, his personality. But so here are two great figures, the Hasbro Steiner Brothers. So what did Scott do? He did the Frankensteiner, and then he would do the little pump handle. Anyway, this character, when he first debuted on WWF TV, I of course was wrapping up my interest, and when I saw this was one of the reasons why I stopped watching WWF. We got a clown figure in full clown makeup all throughout the match, clown wig, clown outfit, clown makeup. Wasn't just a costume that he took off to wrestle in wrestling gear. He was full-on clown all the time. Talking about, of course, Doink the Clown. However, the gimmick was silly. The wrestler playing the gimmick was very talented. Originally, Doink was played by a guy named Matt Bourne, who has worked all over the place. And actually, trivia, Matt Bourne was, I'm trying to think if it was the opening match. Matt Bourne was in the second or third match at the very first WrestleMania in 1985. Matt Bourne took on Ricky Steamboat. So that Matt Bourne went on to become Doink the Clown about 9 years later in the WWF. Of course, Matt Bourne didn't always get the credit for being Doink because he was Doink and he was in full makeup. And it was really never acknowledged that he was Matt Bourne. Shortly after, so the Doink character came around 92. I said 94, but this is around 92. Matt Bourne left the WWF in 1993. Bourne had a lot of drug problems. I don't know why. I don't know if that's the reason. I don't want to speak and say that that's the reason why he left the WWF. But ultimately, Matt Bourne passed away due to drugs. So the character was after Matt Bourne left the WWF. Then the character was played by Steve Kern. And we've talked about Steve Kern back when we did the AWA Remco figure. Steve Kern was part of the Fabulous Ones. He was also a character named Skinner in the WWF and was given the Doink the Clown gimmick after Matt Bourne left. Following that, after Steve Kern had the likeness, it bounced around to many different people. Steve Lombardi, of course, the Brooklyn Brawler, played Doink occasionally. Dusty Wolf, who's kind of a relatively well-known enhancement talent on WWF TV, played the gimmick. And Ray Apollo played it for quite a long time. Ray Apollo has a long history in wrestling as well, wrestling mainly in New Jersey, in New York areas, but Ray Apollo also played Doink. So multiple different wrestlers played the character on TV. Obviously, you could get away with that because of the makeup and the wig, but Matt Bourne and Steve Kern are your two most well-known Doink real people playing Doink the Clown. But anyway, this is a fantastic figure. Colorful, great. I mean, the first time that we've got real hair on a Hasbro figure, and they really knocked it out of the park. I mean, this is a great figure. Great play pose, great figure. Gotta say, another one of my top 10 figures, Doink the Clown. Couldn't care less about the actual character, didn't like the gimmick. His in-ring work, of course, was great because he was played by two great wrestlers, but fantastic figure. This guy in Series 9 gets what I consider his best figure. And again, one of my top 10 figures. I think I've probably named about 15 figures that are in my top 10. But anyway, this is one of my top 10 figures just based on, play pose. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, was in the first series, and I believe the second or third series. We got him in his original colored tuxedo. Then his second release came in a green tuxedo. But his third release finally comes in wrestling gear. And a much bigger figure, much more to scale. I mean, the two original Ted DiBiases were very small figures. This is a good size, likeness of Ted DiBiase. Great figure. Finally in that play pose that we needed. Finally in that wrestling gear that we got instead of having this tuxedo. And of course, complete with his $1 million belt. The third and final Ted DiBiase Hasbro Series 9. The final figure tonight is also a, not a repaint, but a brand new figure for a character that was released in a previous series. And this figure certainly is a huge improvement over the first figure. The first Hacksaw Jim Duggan figure was a very plain figure. Blue trunks. Wait, black trunks, I think. I can't see him. Where is he? He's not jumping out at me on the shelf. I don't know. Very plain figure, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, number 1. For a brief time in 93, 94, Duggan wore this colorful USA outfit, and they were able to capture this in his second Hasbro figure, the much more patriotic USA Hacksaw Jim Duggan figure. And it did come with this American flag. That's a pretty cool accessory, a pretty unique accessory for a figure. And so we've got the sort of the red, white, and blue outfit. Took a very generic figure, made him into a much better second figure in the line. Hacksaw Jim Duggan. So, that is Hasbro Series 9, the purple card series. We are moving on to Hasbro Series 10, and then we are finishing things off with the green card series. After that, we're going to do what I'm calling the LJN bonus video. There are a couple of figures that I forgot when I was doing the LJN line, so we're going to pull those two out and give them the proper review that they certainly deserve. And both are deceased, so it'll be nice to talk about them. But there's other items that I wanted to review that people have asked about. We're gonna take a look at those two figures in the LJN bonus video. We're also going to take a look at the WWF LJN Bendy figures and the LJN Thumb Wrestlers, as well as the Bendy Ring and Cage. And somebody also noticed some cups, some I don't know, 16 ounce or 8 ounce cups that were available back in 1984, 85 at, I believe, something like 7-Eleven or A+, as part of the Big Gulp series. And they put out 7 or 8 or 9 WWF themed cups, and I have those as well. And when I was, showing off some video of the room, somebody noticed those and said, hey, you got to talk about those too. So I will include those in the WWF LJN bonus video coming up after 2 more series of Hasbro figures. That is that. We are at 299 subscribers as of this, as of me recording this right now. It could be 300 right now. It could be 300 by tomorrow. Who knows? But we're almost there. We're almost at 300, which not a number that I expected at all. We'll see if we can keep it going. Maybe add 100 more. Who knows? Once again, as always, thanks for checking me out. And keep looking out for the next series of Hasbros. We are going to be doing that WWF TV show series and review. I promise, of course, I promise that's going to be the biggest, that's going to be probably the main focus of this channel. going forward, in addition to the toy reviews and things like that. But that's going to be huge. I can't wait to get that going. I'm just looking for the right time to roll that out. And yeah, just more of what we do. So thanks as always. See you soon. Take care.